He almost has the phenotype, the body type of someone who injects synthol, which is an artificial oil made to enlarge your muscles. But it's almost like not in his muscles.
I was working at a depth of around 115 feet. A cargo ship was coming. It went over my air hose and cut my air hose in two. I knew I had to surface fast. I couldn't stay any longer. I let go of my lead belt and got pushed up like a bullet. I started to lose all of my senses. I opened my eyes, everything was blurry.
So the neurologic findings that he's experiencing is basically like diver's disease or BENS, where basically nitrogen bubbles, part of the inert gases that you inhale every time you take a breath, start bubbling up. If you inhale those gases at a depth of 100 feet, those gases are inhaled at a higher pressure. Therefore, when you go into a lower pressure environment, those gases start bubbling up. And imagine your blood starting to bubble, it causes serious problems, usually in the neurologic system and your joints.
Willie's chest and arms ballooned, leaving his torso swollen and deformed.
This is a very, very severe form of it. Like, usually it's mild, and usually it is treatable with 100% oxygen treatment, usually in a hyperbaric chamber.
Using a hyperbaric chamber, doctors treat sufferers by having them breathe oxygen in this pressurized vessel.
I've seen patients who've had subaquatic illnesses and arrived completely swollen. But with the hyperbaric chamber, these have disappeared in 1 to 3 hours.
Yeah, so he must have had more severe damage to his blood vessels as a result of that swelling, where it seems to have become permanent. And you know, when you damage blood vessels and they become more permeable, they could start to leak. When those blood vessels start to leak, it could actually create edema in the surrounding structures, which is what he could be having. It's very similar to what happens when you have age-related, gravity-related swelling in your lower extremities, in your legs. So like you stand all day, you're age 60, your veins aren't as spry anymore, so they're a little bit more swollen. Blood starts to pool there throughout the day, and as a result, they become more permeable, more edema comes out, and as a result, you have thicker ankles at the end of a long day, which is why we recommend to pick your ankles up, to wear supportive compression stockings, etc., etc.
Willie has had multiple sessions in a hyperbaric chamber. Sadly, he has not returned to his normal size. As a
Match
result,
found.
Dr. Aguado decided to draw blood and take tissue samples from Willie to solve the mystery.
I wonder what part of the body he's actually taking samples from. Is it from the blood vessel, the muscle, the adipose fat tissue?
A month later, Dr. Aguado confirms that Willie's condition was due to nitrogen being lodged in his fatty tissue. The next medical step will be reconstructive and cosmetic surgery to remove the fatty deposits.
How in the world do they need that test in order to say like, oh, get cosmetic surgery and we'll fix it? I'm pretty sure that would have been anyone's recommendation, whether or not they knew it was from the nitrogen bubbles.
Juliana was born with congenital melanocytic nevus, a rare genetic skin condition that causes an overproduction of skin pigmentation cells.
And it not only produces melanin a lot, it produces melanin a lot in specific areas. So as you can tell, it's not her entire skin color, it's just sporadic.
Her birthmarks and dark patches of skin also made Juliana sad and self-conscious.
That's very understandable. If you're born and you look different than everyone else around you, especially as a child, it's easy to get bullied and then feel like you're ostracized from your own peers.
Juliana now posts photos of herself
Choose
on
your
social
agent.
media to promote awareness of the issues faced by people with skin conditions.
I think that's great in order to highlight that humans come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, and just because her appearance outwardly looks different, it shouldn't stop her from living a full life. And it shouldn't stop you from interacting with someone like this.
1 out of 10 people with congenital melanocytic nevus will develop skin cancer.
So basically, when you have a type of birthmark pop up like that, essentially you're having micro mutations in those areas because you're having excess production. When you're having excess production, that puts you at higher risk for cancerous production.
If I will stay at the sun for a long time, every of my small birthmarks also can change to melanoma, and it's really risk. So that's why I need to go and check them.
The way that we check them is through a classification system known as A, B, C, D, E. Each one represents a specific criteria that we look at. A, asymmetry, B, the borders, C, the color, D, the depth, and E is evolving. basically how it changes over time. That's why if you ever have a mole or birthmark that has changed, that's a good reason for you to go see the doctor. And this allows us to understand what risk each of those birthmarks poses to the individual. If some of them are suspicious, we do send them through a biopsy to pathology to figure out if they're cancerous.
Dr. Witowski uses cutting-edge digital dermoscopy equipment to photograph all of Juliana's birthmarks, capturing their exact positions and sizes so they can be monitored for any changes.
In her condition, it's a lot harder to gauge changes because there are so many of these birthmarks. And also, like, look, if I have 2 small birthmarks on my legs and one of them happens to change and we're concerned, we can easily take that small biopsy. But imagine she has many of them. If she can't like biopsy her entire skin layer, so for her, it's best to do this through a non-invasive method and be strict with it like a camera.
This lesion is the only one on your body, but it is different from the rest, and it's a good idea to remove the lesion just for your own safety.
Those defenders will make us work for it.
Out of charges. Out of charges.
There. There. Alarm out.
Revealing area.
Reloading.
Found them.
Standing. Spike down.
My
So
quiver
this
is
opens up-
never full.
I'm safe.
I'm saving. Ready.
Sailing over here.
Revealing area. Go.
Spike down mid.
That works. I have them.
Come on, Raze, you cheeky bugger. Let's get into it.
Need a drop. I'm done with Cypher's secrets. Scanning ahead.
Here.
Deploying drone.
30 seconds left. One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
A second wind. Let your senses come alive. Good.
You did well.
Good. Good.
No. No. No.
Right here. Good.
Placing alarm bot.
Scanning ahead.
Hawk out! Blinded!
Shot done.
Reloading. Hawk out!
Enemy B.
My territory! My rules! Heal up, squad. I have
Last player standing. Thrifty.
Anyone have any splints?
Good.
I may have damaged my fingers.
Good.
Multiple fingers.
No.
Here. Track them down.
Yeah.
Revealing area.
Placing alarm bot.
Placing swarm grenade.
Satchel out. Reloading.
Good.
Enemy placing.
Found the spike. You should run. Last player standing.
We are strong because we are together. Don't forget that.
They are so dead.
Tactics beat firepower. Use that. Hawk out!
Scanning ahead.
Power's out. Placing sentry.
Placing swarm grenade.
Поплачь еще, блядь, заебал, покупать оружие надо.
Scanning ahead.
Быстрее.
No more secrets. My ult
Spike
is ready.
down, B. 30 seconds left.
I have the spike. Shock dart.
Remaining. 10 seconds left.
Right here. Plant.
Last player standing.
Where are we going this time? Remember what worked in the past. Don't overthink it. That's my job. Satchel out.
Revealing area. Take flight. Nowhere to run!
Down.
Enough!
Healing over here. Heal up, squad. Enemy spotted. Oh.
Spike down, mid.
Healing over here.
I have the spikes.
30 seconds left.
They're concussed. Hawk out. Blinded.
10 seconds left.
Reloading.
Last player standing.
If you see one of my creatures, it's a good thing, alright? We'll figure out what they do eventually. I got yous, okay? Grenade!
Revealing area.
I've got your trail.
Guys out!
Hawk out!
Someone's in defender spawn.
Plant the spike. Plant the spike.
Trap destroyed.
Not ready yet. Scanning ahead.
Box planted. Hawk out!
I know exactly where you are.
Last player standing.
my intel. Don't give them time to reposition.
Turret out. Placing alarm bot.
B.
I have the spike.
Enemy remaining.
No one beats my firepower.
Good.
I got this.
Good.
Placing alarm bot. Alarm bot
Right
out.
here. Scanning ahead. Shotgun.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
Right here.
Placing swarm grenade. Reloading. Enemy spotted.
Last player standing.
Target destroyed. Impeccable kill. My ultimate. Ay, surrounded by minha família. We walk.
Good.
Reloading. Satchel out.
Scanning ahead.
My territory, my rules. You should run.
One down.
Planted.
supply all you need.
My ultimate is ready.
Good. Does anyone have funds? Merci.
Find the weak point
Here.
and break it.
Deploying drone.
Reloading. Heal up.
Spike down mid.
Nowhere to run!
Last player standing. Switching sides.
You're going to scatter my stuff.
Super easy to pick off.
Не ставь сюда ничего, забери. Забери. Забери.
Placing sentry.
Аларму забери. Лучше, ой, забери аларму.
Don't keep them around.
Revealing area.
Бей.
Spike down B.
Right here. Right here.
Here. Get out of here.
Taken out.
Enemy spotted B.
Right here.
Turn out.
One enemy remaining.
See? Not that scary.
Gun here.
We know what we're doing. Trust each other and we'll be fine.
Turret out. Let's make some chaos. Hawk out. Enemy.
Need healing. Going B.
Enemy spotted mid. Reloading.
Spike planted. Enemy remaining.
Right here. Shot done.
Reloading.
It is over.
We're here because we're the best. Don't any of you forget that.
Placing sentry.
B.
Turrets destroyed.
Enemy B. One less. Level check.
Killed my bot.
One enemy remaining.
Right here.
Spike down B. Last player standing.
Stay taut as a bowstring. The fight demands it. I'll find them.
Hey! Satchel out.
Shields ready.
Enemy spotted A. Seek. 3 for 3.
Right here. Shock dart. Need healing. Need healing.
Healing over here.
Need healing. Ah, take flight. Right here.
Reloading.
One enemy remaining. Spike down B.
Reloading. Swarm grenade out. Everyone makes fun of German efficiency. Ha ha.
Just keep laughing as you use all my gear. Turret out. Time to mobilize my pack.
Revealing area.
Placing swarm grenade.
Deploying drone.
My territory. Reloading.
Right here. Right here.
One enemy remaining.
Enemy spotted
Spike
mid.
down mid.
Spike spotted mid.
Spikes here.
Placing alarm bot. Placing
30 seconds left.
Revealing area.
Ten seconds left.
Stress if I die. It was great knowing you all. Also, delete my hard drive. bot. Reevaluate tech. Alarm bot out.
Scanning ahead.
Take flight.
You should run.
Turret down.
Not ready yet.
Spike down.
Enemy spotted.
Shock.
Remain. Spike down B.
Enemies close. Eyes up.
Here.
Here.
Time for a field test. Turret out. Grenade. That's low.
Revealing area. There they are. Not ready yet.
I know exactly. Nowhere to run.
I've got your trail.
Last player standing.
Look out. Blinded.
Match point.
None of my stuff has malfunctioned yet.
Can we celebrate that?
Placing sentry. Quick peeks. Placing swarm grenade.
Good.
Here comes it.
Scanning ahead. Shock dart. Not ready yet. Shock dart.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
Last player standing. Spike planted. Attackers win.
Ай, ёбки, блядь.
They'll basically take a slice of it, look it under a microscope, and then if they do in fact see a cancer, you might have to go for excision with wire. I've noted an increase in TikTok ads that are selling medical products. Here's a list of ones that I would never buy. Some of them, downright dangerous. Check it out. Beep-whoop. Did you know? I love the TikToks that tell me, did I know? Like I didn't go to medical school. Your cells are rapidly aging because of constant exposure to technology. I got a revelation for you at home. Did you know you're aging? Do you use technology? Do you not use technology? You're still aging! This device creates a coherent, protective shield. Coherent.
I am so honored to offer this scientifically proven EMF mitigation device.
Man, people are really using scientifically proven in a weak way these days.
It creates harmonic field in your environment reaching 100 feet in all directions.
It creates a harmonic field reaching 100 feet in all directions.
Penetrating through walls and floors.
And it goes through walls and floors?
It restructures water.
It restructures water. This is the most miraculous lamp, or I don't even know what is this.
May improve sleep, focus, and energy.
Why do I go to work when I could just put this up on the display and just have the patients hang out in the room with this thing? I need to look this up. Like, where do they sell this? $2,000! Improved sleep, more energy, better concentration, improved hydration, reduced stress and anxiety, fewer headaches, enhanced physical recovery. First of all, let me woosah and relax. It says it creates a 360-degree coherent field of 100 feet in all directions, penetrating through walls and floors. What's hilarious is I don't know what a coherent field of 100 feet means. I think they just say words. Calms the parasympathetic nervous system. And then it says a little asterisk. And it says these statements have not been evaluated for medical accuracy. Yeah, no sh**. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Elimination of influences of 5G geopathic zones. I don't even know what a geopathic zone is. 100% water structuring. Decade plus of education. Don't know what any of these words mean. And the device itself is just stones. Say goodbye, double chin. 100 times a day. Okay. This is some kind of sucking device. See, the problem with this product is that it's trying to make you believe that there is such thing as spot reduction. There is no such thing. If I lower my overall body fat content, then I can see more muscle. But if I just work out my biceps, I'm not gonna just see fat reduction on the biceps. It doesn't work that way because your body works as a unit as opposed to individual pieces. And that's what essentially they're saying when they say remove the double chin. Here we have another video of it, how to get a slimmer face quickly. Again, ridiculous promises. I mean, look at that image. They're literally taking someone who's posing in an uncomfortable position that's not normal for them, and then they have them stand up straight. That is not what happens. Look, like even if you pull up this thing on Walmart, reduces the appearance of wrinkles. Well, not at all, because wrinkles are formed from muscle usage. In fact, when we inject Botox to prevent or get rid of wrinkles, we're trying to relax the muscle, to paralyze the muscle, releases any tension in the face. How do you strengthen a muscle and release tension? Firms and tightens the facial skin. How? Skin is taut because of skin molecules and skin proteins, not because of muscle. So like a lot of promises, a lot of statements. It's not a miracle slimming device that it claims.
A change your life hack and health hack.
Again, big promises. Let's see what we got.
So this machine produces 7 different waters.
Okay, so there's different pHs of waters. I don't know why you'd want certain pHs of waters medically, but let's see. I'm gonna be non-judgmental.
But what's also cool is it boosts the molecular hydrogen in these 3 drinking waters. So drinking 2 glasses of this water is equivalent to eating 5 pounds, yes, 5 pounds of blueberries.
What are we talking about? When you consume water that has a pH of 9.5, which means that it's a basic pH, not acidic, alkaline. When it dumps itself through the esophagus into the stomach, do you know what the pH is that's chilling in the stomach? 2. Very acidic environment. It's called gastric acid for a reason. And then when you drink this pH water of 9.5, what do you think happens? Do you think it stays alkaline? No, it becomes acidic and it mixes with this thing. And then what happens is when you drink the water and your body absorbs the water, you think your blood concentrations of acid base is not incredibly tightly managed? It's so managed advantage that your blood pH has to stay between 7.35 and 7.45. Otherwise, you die.
This is my favorite. It also makes beauty water.
Beauty water. My God. I guarantee you this device is like 10 grand. The bottom line is none of these things are proven by real medical science. Everything is overpromised, overhyped, and it's not because I'm saying we know more or doctors know more. It's that we know what we don't know. And they refuse to admit that they don't know. There's a big problem.
Stop fingering your ears.
First of all, yeah, jamming your finger in your ear is not a good idea, so this is starting off well.
Use this ear camera instead.
Oh,
Just
no.
connect it to your phone. Put it in your ear.
Okay, so this device, it looks cool, it looks technological, and it actually works, meaning that like you could see the inside of your ear with your camera because it works through Bluetooth. But this is a terrible product, and I'll tell you why. Terrible in the sense of how people are using it. People think that this product is great for cleaning ears, then they go inside their ears with no training and start scratching up their ear canals, busting their tympanic membranes, yes, their eardrums. We're seeing this in our offices. Plus, I don't really understand the obsession of removing earwax from the inside of your ear. If it's clogged, you could put ear drops in. They sell them over the counter. It'll melt the earwax and it'll come out. And earwax is good for your ear. It actually traps dust, bacteria. It even protects the canal if there's a little moisture in there from your skin getting irritated. There's actually no good medical utility that the average person should have this in their home. I have it in my home. I remember when Jen Selter came over and she had an earplug that fell apart in her ear, and I, as a medical professional, was able to use this tool, but I would not recommend anyone having this at home.
Remove that earwax for better hearing.
And if your hearing is not good, you should get evaluated by a doctor because it's not always because of earwax. There's true issues with hearing, especially these days with everyone blasting their music with earbuds. That literally could be early hearing loss, and that's a real problem. That's why I really recommend not listening to your music over 50-60% max volume.
How do I increase my height 1 inch?
I can see how already this is drawing people in because everyone wants to be taller. Not everyone. A lot of people want to be taller.
This posture corrector is pure magic.
It depends what your definition of pure magic is. It's certainly not my definition as a doctor because posture correctors largely are unnecessary and potentially harmful because the goal of having good posture is about creating a good natural posture. And when you're putting on a device to create good posture, you're essentially weakening the muscles that create good posture, and you become dependent on a device like this. There's a lot of information out there about like posture needs to be perfect. You don't always need to sit up perfectly like this. Like it's okay to lean back if you're tired, but it's about having good, solid strength for your posture in order for you to be able to sit comfortably and not have to slouch over like this or have a forward shoulder rounded posture. So like these things are far from magic and actually in many cases do more harm than good. Mastic has been grown in Greece and chewed for thousands of years as the original natural chewing gum. As a doctor, I was not trained to answer this question, so I can't fact check that. But mastic is, I think, some kind of resin. Sculpt your jawline. Results within the first week. 100% natural chew. Discreet exercise program. Gluten, allergen-free. Not for the weak! Can you imagine a less motivating product than a product that's encouraging you to get strong, but is saying it's not for the weak? How does that make sense from an advertising perspective? I don't like a lot of these products where you're chewing very heavily because you're using the masseter jaw muscle, yes, but remember, a lot of the shape that comes from your jawline doesn't come from the muscle. It comes from the bone and structure that's already formed, has nothing to do with the muscle. So yeah, while you can exercise the muscle, you could also over-exercise this muscle. Do you know what happens when you have a sore masseter? Pain in the TMJ area, grinding at night while you're sleeping. So many issues can arise when it comes to dental care when you have an overtrained masseter. I would not recommend this product even just The claim, not for the weak, tells you all you need to know. Our included workout program will leave your jaw feeling exhausted after the first day, not for the weak. This is another piece of misinformation. When you start a new exercise routine, the goal isn't to exhaust you, to break your muscles down so much so that you can't perform the next day. The goal is to give you an appropriate stimulus to get your muscles to perform better the next time, not destroy them. That's a big mistake that not only marketing companies clearly make, but also personal trainers. Coffee enemas boost glutathione production by 700x and detox the liver. I can't fact check the glutathione production because I don't know exactly what they're saying, and that would require some serious fact checking. But what I can tell you with very good certainty is that coffee enemas do not detox the liver. The liver itself is one of your detoxification organs on its own. So you don't need to detox your liver. Oh my God, so this is like an at-home enema kit that you hang in your shower. Enema tip, soft silicone, easy to insert, only goes in about 2 inches. If it's not necessary medically, inserting this tube can already cause problems. If you have a hemorrhoid, it can cause bleeding, you could cause an anal fissure, and inserting any kind of fluid into your abdomen, into your gut there, can cause problems, infection, diarrhea, even like legitimate rectal problems. Morning coffee enema. The gut, one way in, one way out. Why are we changing the flow? Why are we saying let's put the coffee on the bottom instead of the top? I don't get it. Instant bloating and constipation relief. Look, if you want to use a regular enema because you're experiencing constipation, that's a different thing. But like using it daily to detox your body is just not true. The body does this naturally. Great for skin and hormones too. Like we're just throwing in a lot of false promises here. Just to do this for health reasons is a full-on lie, and people are tricking you, and it's sad to see that TikTok doesn't actively take this stuff down.
Ionic foot detox.
Oh, this is BS. Here's what happens in these clips. Person puts their feet in this thing, it starts changing colors. And here we go, watercolor. It starts telling you what's wrong with you. This is my favorite. Here we go, watercolor. It starts telling you what's wrong with you. This is my favorite. This is so ridiculous. Bubbles equals gas and bloating, Maybe inside your gut, but not in here. This has actually been unraveled as one of the biggest, most embarrassing sources of disinformation, not even misinformation. As you could see in this Inside Edition clip where they expose these foot bath scams.
We bought our own foot bath unit and had it tested by Stephen Fowler, an electrical engineer.
Through electrolysis, they run a current through this water.
Everything you see here is just rust.
When you run the electricity through that water, your body has electrolytes on your skin, salt, right? Every time you sweat. And as a result, it starts changing colors. And depending how long you run it for, it's also gonna have different colors.
And check this out. Those supposed toxins appear even without feet in the water.
It is nothing but a scam.
This serves as an example as to how the entire industry works. They see some kind of medical terminology that they understand what that terminology is. They don't have enough understanding to know where their limitations lie, and they start over-promising you stuff and charging you huge sums of money for it. You're at risk because you want to stay healthy. Maybe your doctor recommends something for you to do that requires a lot of work, time, energy, and you say, why would I do that when I can do this? I'm feeling slow, heavy, and for $115 you can improve it. Let me do it. It's BS, and this proves it right here. How about some good and dangerous medical products from Shark Tank? Click here to check that out. And as always, stay happy and healthy. I wear a suit. Saving lives when you're a medical professional or first responder makes sense. But how about when you're an ordinary civilian? We're about to watch some serious life-saving videos. Let's get started. Pee-whoop.
What was the reaction? What was the trigger?
She's not allergic to anything that's known. She's had some salmon. Have you touched anything or?
Okay, see, the way that she's talking, right away, we have to know that her airway is closing, so you have to act quickly. There is no use trying to figure out what this person is allergic to. The only important thing is to recognize the ABCs of first response, and in this case, the airway is being compromised, so you have to act quickly with that epinephrine, aka an epinephrine auto-injector like an EpiPen. That's it. The tongue is swelling. You got to make moves. You have to act quickly. This is like when I was on the plane and the pilot's like, do we have an hour and a half to go back to Canada or an hour to go to the Portugal Islands? No, we don't.
So we'll go 0.5 milligram of adrenaline, salbutamol, please. Eventually some hydrocortisone as well, all right?
So they're also giving her some steroid here as well. A steroid reduces inflammation, but the first thing you want to do is get that epinephrine on board. That's what's going to open up the airway. That's what's going to actually constrict the blood vessels to increase blood pressure. Because part of an anaphylactic attack is not just your throat closing, it's blood pressure drastically dropping.
So, Tammy, what you're having through that nebulizer is what we give to asthmatic patients to open up the airway, okay?
Remember, patients who are experiencing anaphylactic attack feel very uncomfortable because you can experience gastrointestinal distress, vomiting, low blood pressure. And then when you get the EpiPen, you're still not out of the woods. You're still very uncomfortable and your heart's racing. You got a dose of adrenaline.
Sorry? Sorry? Your tongue, okay. All right.
In a lot of situations like this as well, it's very important to have a good line of communication with the patient because what they may be experiencing or thinking that they're experiencing is not what they're actually experiencing. I'll give you an example. When I was on the plane after the first dose of epinephrine, the gentleman who was experiencing the anaphylactic attack told me he thinks it's coming back. But after I directly observed his throat with my iPhone flashlight, this is the tools I'm using there, I actually saw that his throat was just getting very dry because I gave him a big dose of adrenaline, which is one of the side effects. So his throat wasn't actually closing up again. So it's important to directly visualize these things as well as talk to the patient.
Are you feeling any better? A little bit. Good. Okay, so we've done something right then.
See, using humor to diffuse the situation here is really powerful. He's not making her the target of the joke. They're both together making light of the situation in order to decrease that stress. Anything you can do to take away that anxiety will help the patient.
Doctors still don't know what caused her allergic reaction.
You know, in a lot of cases we don't know. That's why allergy testing along with a thorough history is really important here. There's even very unique situations where if you get a certain type of tick bite, a Lone Star tick bite, you could actually end up developing an allergy to red meat that you've never had in your life, which is what happened on the gentleman in the airplane that I was fortunate enough to be on at the time to save his life.
35-year-old mom Tila Levy turns away for just a moment. 11-month-old Etan on the changing table.
On an elevated surface and in the presence of water like in a bath, you do not leave your children unattended, no matter how quick you think it is. Even with dogs, I would put in with dogs as well.
The baby begins to roll, every parent's fear, and then he tumbles over the edge. Out of nowhere, his older brother, 9-year-old Joseph, catches him.
Wow, what a catch! Honestly, they gotta stop doing SportsCenter Top 10 for a week and just show this kid making a catch.
I just yelled mom because I saw the baby, and I just ran and I caught him.
Yankees, sign this kid now!
I can't even carry him, so I don't know how that happened, and I can't even run that fast either.
That's superhuman. It goes without saying, babies falling, very dangerous because they're developing still their organs, so very susceptible to injuries and drops. Remember, babies' bones are also soft, especially their skulls, so their brain is not as well protected as an adult skull. Okay, we have a child drinking water, drinking a lot of water, choking. Anytime you see someone reach for their throat like that and is trying to talk but can't move air, that's a sign that someone's choking. In scenarios like this, for a child of this age, you would treat them just like an adult, not an infant, and you would start the Heimlich maneuver. Some agencies do talk about doing 5 back taps with the person bent over the arm and then start the Heimlich maneuver, you're gonna be squeezing as hard as you can, and you're gonna do that 5 times, go back to the back blows until you free whatever the obstruction is. Don't do this blind finger sweeping thing, because that can actually push the object further down. Instead, what you wanna do is try and visualize if you can see whatever it is that's out in the mouth, and then pull it out. See, that's a child saying they're choking. Right there. Oh, we got the Heimlich maneuver. Perfect, good execution. Wow, got it out. Wow.
Brock and Bodhi Schaff were being typical 2-year-old twins, scrambling up their dresser to explore.
Oh, no.
But then suddenly, it tips over, pinning little Brock under its heavy weight. You can see Brock struggling and screaming, but Bodhi jumps right into action. He immediately tries to push the dresser, but can't get it to move. Finally, with a big lean, he tries to push one more time and somehow manages the strength to move that large dresser and free his brother.
That's why with a lot of furniture items like that, you really should be securing them to the wall. In fact, a lot of them do say that you should secure them to the wall in their instructions. And that doesn't just go for a furniture like that, but also for like heavy mirrors as well too.
Mom says as soon as she saw that video, she bolted the dresser to the wall to make sure it won't happen again.
Oh, what is that?
This 5-year-old girl had her own scary encounter with a wild animal. A raccoon latched onto her leg and wouldn't let go.
Raccoons, problematic being mammals, they can be exposed to rabies and therefore transmit rabies.
I grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. It was growling, it was snarling.
A lot of times we'll think that a raccoon is rabid when it's starting to come out during the day, exhibiting uncharacteristic behaviors, like going up to people, because they usually don't do this. They kind of run away more often.
Out of an abundance of caution, mom and daughter have gotten rabies shots.
If you've been exposed to rabies, or even you think there's a possibility you've been exposed to rabies, generally what we do is something called post-exposure prophylaxis, which means something like 15 minutes of washing the wound, then getting the rabies vaccines on specific set days, and then in definite confirmed cases and in severely endemic areas, you want to be using immunoglobulins or monoclonal antibodies.
It's a family crisis that's unfolding in real time, but the little guy's parents, John and Jane Kohler, quickly realize this is serious.
He was turning blue.
Cyanosis, or turning blue, is one of the danger signs that not enough oxygen is moving. And with babies, you want to act fairly quickly, but at the same time stay calm and deliver those same back blows that we just talked about, the back thrusts. But with a baby, you want to hold them down so their head is lower than their body. By doing this, you're actually allowing gravity to help you free the obstruction, and then you do the same back thrusts. Now, if that fails, then you do the opposite. You flip them to the opposite side. Now on their back, head is still below, and then you're going to be doing the Heimlich maneuver with them laying on your arm. You don't want to do a full Heimlich maneuver on a child less than 1 year of age, because you can cause damage to their developing organs.
Panic erupts.
All right, so again, the mom is in a very stressful situation. The goal here is to say you call 911, not someone, because then everyone else assumes that someone is going to call 911 and no one ends up calling 911.
Major Hillard had a device in his car called a life vac, which he suctioned to little Gabriel's mouth. After several plunges of the device, a miracle.
As soon as I did that last pull, his eyes popped open and he started gasping for air.
Mom and Dad embrace in relief.
So it's interesting, this life vac and other devices like it have kind of been going viral on social media. The Dechoker is one that I saw as well. The major organizations, like the ones that do first aid, have not sort of started recommending them because there hasn't been good quality, rigorous trials to show that they're more effective than traditional back blows and the Heimlich maneuver. In situations like this, all the major organizations are still saying use the traditional methods. I'm curious when the government or some agency is actually going to put money in this to make sure that we can find out if these devices actually work. Because if they do, we should have these devices in every restaurant.
In 2019, this friendly pickup hockey game suddenly turned when one of the players collapsed from a massive heart attack.
Oh, wow. All right, call 911. Good first step. You got to nominate someone.
A player from the opposing team then took charge. As luck would have it, he was an emergency room physician.
Yep, the defibrillator is very important here. The defibrillators we have in most of these scenarios are automatic defibrillators where you just attach them to the chest and they will automatically read the rhythm and tell you if this is a shockable situation or not.
Shock advised. Charging. Stay clear of patient.
We administered that shock and administered a little bit more CPR for another minute and a half, and he started breathing on his own.
That's spontaneous return of circulation. That's really exciting. I mean, if you're gonna have a cardiac arrest, having one around an ER physician is the person you want to be around. The sad part about cardiac arrest is that the majority of them happen outside of the hospital, and as a result, there's not enough people trained in CPR or know how to perform CPR. This is why I'm working with the American Heart Association to get these kiosks put all across the US in airports, science museums, where you actually learn how to perform hands-only CPR with me on the screen. Check this out.
It may have been the whole crew behind this nearly impossible mission back in 2009, but it was Jason Oglesby who dangled from a crane and pulled Patty Ralph Neely to safety. Her boat had capsized along the Des Moines River. Her husband died. She was saved.
You know, it's very possible that you may be an individual who finds someone who's recently drowned and they're unconscious. In those situations, you want to start chest compressions right away. It's ideal, actually, and a lot of agencies do advise to do 2 rescue breaths before starting the chest compressions in a drowning victim scenario. Remember, in most cases, you're actually not going to have that much water go into the lungs. The larynx can actually spasm, preventing a lot of water from entering the lungs, and the small amount that could have gone into the lungs can actually get absorbed into the bloodstream. So it's really about getting that heart to pump, and it's pumping artificially because you're physically pumping it and circulating the blood that's actually still potentially having some oxygen in it. And obviously calling for help is the #1 thing you do.
Little Mason Lindemann was playing in his driveway with friends when the pit bull escaped from a neighbor's home and attacked, clamping his jaw down on the boy's head.
That's so dangerous. So much bleeding can happen, so much disfigurement.
Suddenly, a hero comes to the rescue. The teen who heard the boy's screams runs right into the path of danger.
Wow.
Watch as he deliberately diverts the pit bull's attention. Now the dog goes after him, giving the 6-year-old kid a chance to run home.
Wow.
The hero neighbor is also attacked when he loses his sneaker and falls to the ground.
In a situation like this, you got to roll up into a ball, protect your vital organs. Remember, if you get bitten in the carotids, if you get bitten into the stomach, that's where a lot of bleeding is going to happen. But if you roll up into a ball, and most importantly, make fists so that your fingers can't get ripped off, you decrease the likelihood of very severe injury. If you are witnessing someone do this, the common thing that's taught is the wheelbarrow technique, where you lift up the dog's back legs. It's used more to break up dog fights between dogs, not dogs attacking humans, but that could be done as well. Making loud noises, shooting water, all these things are options. Just make sure you don't put yourself in danger, and never put your hands or fingers in between 2 dogs that are fighting or a dog that's attacking someone else, because what's going to happen is your fingers are going to get very, very damaged, and that's dangerous. Afterwards, for a child like this, you want to make sure that they're okay from a psychological perspective, a circulatory perspective, and that they're getting antibiotics, tetanus, and potentially rabies, depending on what you know about this dog.
He's got a bruise under here still.
Wow.
And he's got a small scratch there.
He also has staples in the back of his head.
Staples are very common to be used in the scalp. Scalp has a lot of bleeding as well because it's highly vascular, so folks get very afraid. But usually that area heals quite well.
I'm glad you're okay.
Grant suffered bite injuries to his hand while fighting off the pit bull.
The dog was right on top of me, so I tried to grab his throat, and it bit me.
That's why you gotta right away curl up into a ball or punches, fingers closed, because otherwise you will get bit.
The 28-year-old woman, seen Friday in the surveillance video, inside the lobby of the DeLand Animal Hospital, says after 2 days of being assaulted by her boyfriend, 39-year-old Jeremy Floyd, she convinced him to bring her dog to the vet. Then this note, handed off to the vet staff, saying her boyfriend was threatening her with a gun.
I slipped her the note, and that's when I slid my glasses off to show her I had a bruised eye, just so she would take me seriously.
First of all, you have to give credit to the survivor of this IPV. And I go past calling it domestic violence because it's really intimate partner violence. We've sort of changed the way we refer to these things because domestic means you live in the home, and that could be a parent, a grandparent. Intimate partner is someone you could just go on a date with. And violence doesn't just mean physical violence. It could be verbal. verbal violence as well.
Then she saw an officer through the window. First, a sigh of relief. Officer safely taking Floyd and his loaded handgun into custody. The victim, thankful the employees got her the help she needed.
These are terrible situations, and so many factors go into them. Just even a patient sharing that with you is really powerful, and there's evidence to show that thanking a patient for sharing that with you goes a really long way. The way that I've sort of been trained to think about this is an approach of empathy, validation, and then assistance. You want to be as empathetic as possible. You want to be understanding as possible. Then validating that the patient doesn't deserve this, that this isn't their fault, because a lot of times they've not necessarily been brainwashed, but been misled to believe that this is happening to them and it's their fault, it's their problem. And then finally offering assistance, not forcing assistance, because that can backfire for a whole host of reasons. And as medical providers, we're also trained that if somehow the abuser is in the office, in the exam room, etc., it's best not to confront them and let the patient guide the situation, unless there's imminent danger. Of course, in that case, you're calling local authorities. It's really all about making sure the patient has resources and safety and a plan of action if they feel their life is truly in danger. And if you yourself are a victim of IPV, I have links and resources down below to get yourself help. Check out this video where a patient actually filed a complaint against me. I think it's worth watching because it's a good learning experience, and as always, stay happy and healthy. From RuPaul's Drag Race to Kim Kardashian to The Deadliest Catch, there's a variety of reality shows, but we're gonna react to some of the most interesting medical scenes. Let's get started. Be-woo.
You got this, sister. You were super, super close. Right in the kisser. Show that night who's boss.
That's a weird game. Oh! I did not expect that. I thought it was gonna I don't know what I expected. Oh my God, she got rocked right in the face.
Are you okay? I can't feel my face.
And the watermelon broke. She's lucky that she didn't lose teeth, broken bones, no cuts.
Are you waiting for the bathroom, Melanie?
No, my friend got sick.
Is he vegetarian? No. No. What did he have?
The lobster tail.
The lobster sometimes has Vibrio, which is a type of bacteria that most of the time is pretty self-limited, meaning that it goes away on its own after some nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. But in severe cases, we do prescribe antibiotics for this.
Smell it. Seriously. Fishy.
I can smell the ammonia.
Smelling ammonia means there's some kind of decomposition happening, which likely means that the lobster wasn't prepared as freshly, which means that there's some of that Vibrio that we just talked about.
It's been pulled apart and then decomposed.
That's what makes it bad.
Well, it's not the ammonia that makes it bad. It's still the bacteria, but the ammonia that is released by the bacteria, so it signals the presence of the bacteria. Oh, my Staten Island friends.
Your name is Justin, and your heart is okay, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yeah. Okay. Yeah, can you feel the difference between love and lust?
And so you can feel the difference between love and lust?
Yeah.
Okay.
Patient's gotta be so confused. It's like sometimes a patient will come in for an unknown arthritis, and then we'll ask about sexual history, and they'll be like, why are you asking about sexual history? I'm like, gonorrhea can cause arthritis. The more you know.
Let me take your temperature.
That's like the mom's way that they feel the child. Not gonna lie, the back of my hand is pretty good at knowing temperatures. Not tested and not validated, but feels like it's pretty accurate.
Why don't you check this guy's reflexes, Sal?
Check your reflexes?
Oh, there you go. Hey.
See this?
You're hitting it a little bit too high, and he's hitting it directly on the patella.
Leg is good. I think your right leg is dead.
This happens all the time, by the way. Not the laughing, obviously, but the fact that one leg has good reflexes and then the other, once they see what I do, doesn't work. It's because the patient's actively keeping it compressed. In order for the reflex to work, the muscle has to be fully relaxed. So in a lot of those cases, I actually ask the patient, usually a child, to pull their hands apart as hard as they can and look up at the ceiling. And when they do that, they automatically relax the leg and it allows the reflex to come. A cool thing that I do is when I don't have a reflex hammer available, I'm like one of these old school doctors. I use this guy right here and I go, and then the patient's like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. And I'm like, yeah, we're having fun in the hospital. Uh-oh, I imagine a big injury is incoming.
Gag, big girl. Come on, bitch. Yes.
Someone's gonna fall.
I land and I feel my knee pop.
If it was the front leg, my guess is it's an ACL.
You need time to heal. She spills the tea. She spoke to the doctor personally herself and let me know. She was like, you have to have immediate surgery. You did tear your ACL.
Mechanism of injury, I keep saying it on this channel, is one of the most important things in making a diagnosis when it comes to musculoskeletal complaint. That's why when patients are like, Doc, can you stop asking me questions about what's going on and just examine my leg? I'm like, look, examination's part of it, for sure. But I need to get the mechanism of injury. Like, where were you sitting? How did you fall? Which leg did you fall on? What motion were you making? How high was the step? All these questions sound silly, but are of utmost importance.
Oh, shit.
Never want to hear oh shit in the operating room or in the bathroom.
I have slip discs that are pinching nerves, and I just was taking a shit.
I can't believe this is real. This feels scripted. This feels like Impractical Jokers.
Oh, why this happened?
Watch your step.
Yeah, I gotta go left foot first. Go. Okay.
So discs are these padded little sacs that function in between the vertebrae, which are the bones of the spine. These sacs provide cushioning, and sometimes if there's a herniation or a bulge in these sacs, they actually end up putting pressure on the nerves that end up giving sensation and motor function to the lower parts of your body, aka your legs. So if you get pressure on a nerve from a disc bulge high up, you essentially get a pinched nerve. And then anything below the level of that nerve is impacted, which means the strength of your legs, the pain that you're experiencing, weird sensory changes, because nerves don't like to have pressure put on them.
Oh, yeah, dude.
He's getting swollen there, too.
After being crushed between two deck boards, Andy's finger swells fast.
So the problem is when you have a subungual hematoma, which is an enlarging bruise, a tumor of blood starting to spread underneath the nail, that pressure expands and it becomes problematic. Commonly, runners who experience these type of blood pockets under their nails will heat up a paper clip and actually put it on the surface of the nail, therefore melting the nail, which has no sensation, and therefore creating a hole and allowing the blood to pool out.
Andy braces himself for some old school boat medicine.
Look, they're doing it.
Sterilizing. Then we're gonna stick it. Okay, get it done.
I don't know why they're acting like it's gonna hurt. It should not hurt if they do it correctly.
Ow, pull out, pull out.
Cauterizing the wound can actually become problematic because when you cauterize the wound, you stop the bleeding, and then that could create a blockage, and then if the hematoma keeps being enlarged.
John Walczek has been nursing a badly infected finger.
Finger infections are incredibly problematic. There are so many places for them to spread. Think about how many different joints there are in the hand. Every connection is an area where septic arthritis can begin. The bones, the tiny little bones of the hand, that's an osteomyelitis waiting to happen. Oh, that's really bad.
So how long's it been like that?
It was brought to my attention about 4 days ago, and it was pretty well advanced. All the telltale signs, it was red, it was swollen, it was hot.
That looks like a septic arthritis. At this point, I'm starting IV antibiotics.
Did you injure it in some way?
Must have been stuck by a crab or a codfish or something, but
got some kind of cut.
So that means it's a deeper infection, because if you're getting poked by something, that means it's going deeper in the joint, makes it more likely to be dangerous. There's also toxins inside some of the seafood.
What we did is we soaked it in a warm saline solution, and the first time we lanced this thing, we hardly got anything out of it.
So how did you lance it?
Big sewing needle.
Okay, sterilized sewing needle, and you just popped it?
Yeah.
I don't know if popping is ideal. I don't see really a clear abscess, which is a formation of pus and bacterial products inside a closed environment. I don't really see that here. I just see generalized swelling.
The next day, they worked it after a hot saline soak. It came up with a lot. And it's been coming up with a lot until yesterday.
We need a hand surgeon, we need IV antibiotics, we probably need a proper scan to see what's inside, to see if there's an abscess.
I think that you need to definitely come into clinic. You may actually need some IV antibiotics. And this could be something that can work.
I agree. But again, with the hand, you don't want bone destruction. So you want to act early if you suspect septic arthritis or osteomyelitis.
try to last through this walrus and get it on board.
Why are they trying to get a walrus on? What is happening right now? That water looks really cold, too.
The guy's a maniac.
If Freddy doesn't get out of the water in 60 seconds, hypothermia could set in.
Hypothermia is really dangerous. Obviously, there are stages to hypothermia. You have mild, moderate, severe. The severe hypothermia can actually get so bad that it can lead to full-on cardiac arrest.
I almost had it.
Hypothermia is no joke. Even for severe hypothermia, we actually do active, like intravascular warming in order to help people warm up because the hypothermia can be that bad. For those who have cardiac arrest and their heart stops, we actually do like a hypothermia protocol to help slow down the cellular activity and potentially mitigate some of the damage from a cardiac arrest. Because there's some post-cardiac inflammatory changes that happen after someone's heart stops and then gets restarted.
Everything seems to be going well. And then the girls get to their second jump.
Oh.
She just twisted her ankle. Oh my God. Can you stand on it?
That's actually a good first test to do because weight bearing immediately after the injury is one of the auto ankle rules that we use to decide whether or not a patient needs an x-ray. It's definitely like a grade 1 or grade 2 ankle sprain, just solely based on what happened, solely based on how she's feeling right now, that she's able to point. This is a mild injury because if there's a very serious tear or a very serious fracture, weight bearing is near impossible. Movement is near impossible with the amount of swelling that happens quickly, especially in kids. You obviously can't compete with an ankle like this, but it's not a very long recovery as long as you do it properly.
Looking at the x-rays, that looks like a stress fracture.
Whoa, I thought she fell on her ankle. You know what this might be? She might have an ankle sprain, and then because they got an x-ray when they might not have needed to, I don't know exactly what happened, but then incidentally also found a stress fracture from constantly jumping and doing all those things, which happens in kids.
She really needs to go all out to impress the Joffrey Ballet Scout.
I actually have had patients that come in with stress fractures of, let's say, the tibia, which is their shin bone, preparing to run for like the New York City Marathon. I diagnose them with a stress fracture. I'm like, you cannot compete in the marathon in the next 2 weeks. And they say, well, I'm gonna do it anyway because I've trained for this so long and hard. There's no way I'm gonna give up now. And I have to warn them very brutally, honestly, that by running in the marathon, you could snap your shin bone in the middle of the race. And it happens more than we'd like to talk about.
After just 14 hours in the desert, Dr. Drew Pensky is feeling severely unwell.
How you feeling?
Bad.
If you need to vomit, go see the doctor.
They're telling the doctor to go see the doctor. I love when people tell me that.
Dr. Drew is with the camp medic.
I suspect most likely diagnosis is dehydration.
Dehydration is part of it, but what's leading the dehydration? He pointed out the symptom, but what's the problem?
Is there any point to an IV?
If I do an IV, I think we pull you off the course.
IV is quicker, for sure, and if you are not delivering enough blood flow to vital structures, then yeah, an IV is really